the shadow army of the old gods. Frozen Saga. For days after the fall of the Titan, the northern mountains were silent. Snow covered the shattered valley where the colossal creature had fallen, and the wind howled across the broken cliffs. But the gate had not closed. The runes carved across its towering pillars flickered weakly, like dying embers from a long-forgotten fire. The darkness was moving. In the northern settlement of Ironford, warriors gathered inside the great hall. Messengers had arrived from every direction across the frozen lands. Strange shadows moving through the night, villages abandoned after people reported hearing voices whispering from the darkness. Something unseen. Bjorn Ironwolf stood beside the great fire listening to the reports. He had seen what waited behind the gate. The Titan had only been the beginning. The warriors around him nodded, but none of them truly believed it would be that simple. The next morning, Bjorn and a group of northern warriors traveled toward the Broken Spine Mountains once again. A strange black mist moved across the snowfields like living smoke. By the time they reached the valley of the gate, the air had grown colder, far colder than natural winter. Bjorn climbed the ridge overlooking the ancient structure. The valley was no longer empty. Hundreds of shapes moved across the frozen ground, but not living ones. Dark figures formed from shadow and ancient armor marched across the valley floor in perfect silence. The shadow army of the old gods had arrived. Each soldier looked like a warrior from another age. Their armor was ancient, covered in glowing runes older than the Viking kingdoms. Their eyes burned with pale blue fire. They did not speak. They only marched. More of them continued stepping through the ancient god gate. Hundreds, an army from another world was entering the frozen north. Bjorn turned toward his warriors. If they leave the valley, he said quietly, the north will fall. There was no choice. The first clash came quickly. Bjorn's axe shattered the helmet of the first shadow soldier, sending dark energy exploding into the air. But the creature did not fall easily. Even as its armor broke, the shadow warrior continued fighting. The valley erupted into battle. Runic weapons flashed through the frozen air. The shadow warriors fought with terrifying precision. They moved like a single mind. For every soldier that fell, 2 more stepped through the gates. They were losing. A deep rumbling sound rolled across the valley. The shadow army suddenly stopped moving. Something larger was emerging. From the darkness behind the ancient doorway, a massive armored figure stepped forward. This one was different. The creature stood twice the height of the other soldiers. Black armor covered its body like living stone, and glowing red runes burned across its chest. This was not a soldier. This was a commander, the general of the shadow army. The creature looked across the battlefield, its glowing eyes focused on Bjorn. Then it raised its massive sword. Instantly, the shadow army attacked again. The battle became chaos. Bjorn fought through the soldiers, cutting a path toward the towering commander. If he could destroy the leader, the army might fall. The shadow warriors tried to block his path. But Bjorn pushed forward. Finally he reached the giant figure standing before the gate. The 2 warriors faced each other. The commander spoke with a voice like cracking ice. This world will belong to the old gods again. Bjorn raised his axe. Not while we still stand. The commander attacked. Its massive blade slammed into Bjorn's shield, sending him sliding across the frozen ground. Bjorn struck back, driving his runic axe into the creature's armor. Blue light exploded across the battlefield. The commander roared. Cracks spread across its chest, where the runes glowed. Bjorn struck again. The rune shattered. The commander staggered, then the ancient armor collapsed into dust. The shadow army froze. One by one the soldiers turned to ash. The valley fell silent. Bjorn stood alone before the open gate. The army had fallen, but the doorway remained open, and far beyond the gate, he could see movement. Not soldiers, not titans. Something far larger. Something powerful enough to command entire armies. Bjorn slowly raised his axe again. Because the real war had not even begun. If you enjoyed this Viking dark fantasy story, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter of Frozen Saga. New monsters, ancient legends, and forgotten gods are awakening across the frozen north. This saga is far from over.